Well, haku haku. My name is Teresa Romero. I am coming to you from my Chumash homelands here in Santa Ynez, California, where I live, and I work as the environmental director for the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians, and I'm involved in a lot of community projects outside of work too. I came to this recipe in a roundabout way. Um, there here locally in Southern California, there were a group of people that started a little collective called the Chia Collective, working with traditional foods. And that's how I was first introduced to mesquite flour. And that was a few years ago now. And I started incorporating mesquite flour into a lot of my recipes probably 3 or 4 years ago. But then about 2.5 years ago, I decided to radically transform the way I eat. And I don't eat wheat flour or refined sugar any longer. And that really brought me to mesquite flour, which has a really wonderful sweetness to it. And I started playing with recipes, and I get a lot of wonderful feedback from people who have this particular recipe because it's naturally sweet because of the mesquite flour. I call it my mesquite blue cornbread. So typically what I will do, and I tend to use avocado oil in this recipe a lot, and I have used the coconut oil in the recipe. So what I would do is put the liquid ingredients together and then add in your other powdered ingredients. And I typically start with the cornmeal and mix it in with your liquid ingredients, the oil and the eggs. I will blend the oil and eggs first together, either with a spoon or my hand mixer, and add in the cornmeal and then the mesquite flour. And I'll just, as a warning for those people who've never used mesquite flour, it's quite powdery, and I'm sure you're aware of that too. So it has a really super fine texture. And then I blend all of those ingredients together, and I've used both cast iron pans for this as well as my glass pans, and both work wonderfully. I typically don't oil my pans. I use parchment paper instead, so that I don't have that extra oil in my recipe, but that's just a personal preference. And then I bake it, and I typically bake it at 375 for about 20 minutes. You just watch it and test it for the firmness. And then you can take it out. I let it cool for a bit, and you can slice it however you desire to slice it. It's wonderful warm, and it's just really, really wonderful. And people talk about comfort foods. This is a really wonderful, healthy version of a comfort food. That's the way I look at it. I have really incorporated a lot of traditional foods into my diet, and I feel really privileged that I have the ability to do so. And I know that that can be hard for some people because of costs and sourcing from people far away. But what I love to do is to be able to share foods that I think people can find, because you really can find mesquite flour pretty easily. It's sold online. And I do have a friend that can source it directly from Indigenous people in Baja California. But I really am passionate about sharing healthier foods for our community, so that they can transform their health, because I have really, really transformed my health by the way I eat. So not having that refined sugar and flour. I was type 2 diabetes, and I've reversed my diabetes. I had high cholesterol, it's gone. And I had high blood pressure, and it's gone. And I really think that people can make these changes and really transform how they feel. And they'll be around a lot longer for their communities.